Well, hello, hello. Carolyn Williams here with Money Reverse. Come right on in. If you are here for 4 days for your 401k, you're in the right place. Come right on in. Carolyn Williams here with Money Reverse. I am going to give you a short but impactful lesson today and for the next 3 days after this to get us a little bit more engaged, more educated, more involved, more curious, and more about our retirement savings. Thank you for coming. Say hello in the comments when you arrive. Say hello in the comments. This is something that I started doing a few years ago, and I found that it has been very effective. So it's become a tradition that I do this once a year at this time of year. So definitely come right on in and say hello in the comments when you arrive. I have a minute or so before the time that we're scheduled to begin. So if you have any questions ahead of time, just ask me them, and I will be happy to address them. And as we get ready to get started. So if this is your first time coming into one of these lessons, 4 days for your 401k, if this is your first time joining me in one of these lessons, just say first time in the comments. I would love to know if you've heard some of this before or if this is your very first time. It would be so nice to know that. So again, say hello in the comments when you arrive to let me know that you're there. One thing that it also lets me know is that the sound is working. Because how would a girl know if the sound doesn't work, if I don't ask you to do something and you respond? So say hello in the comments when you arrive and let me know that you're there. So we are here again for 4 days for your 401k. So yeah, come right on in. Now, as always, I am going to start out in a quick word of prayer. So a quick word of prayer just to get us started. So join with me, everybody. Father God, we thank you. We give you glory. We lift you up, Lord. And Lord, I just want to thank you for this session. I want to thank you for everybody that's here. And Lord, I pray that your Holy Spirit is upon me as I teach. Lord, I thank you that we're learning more about retirement savings. Lord, prick us to let us know if we have takeaways that you would like for us to do. Lord, we want to be whole. We want to be in good health, and we want to be financially responsible. So Lord, that is our prayer. That is our will. So Lord, I just thank you for directing each individual in the way that they would go. These things I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Let's get started. Now, first of all, if National 401k Day is coming up. If you've heard of National 401k Day, please put something in the comments to say I've heard of it. If you've never heard of National 401k Day, then put that in the comments as well. Say I've never heard of it. This is a day, it's a real thing. This is a real thing. I promise you, I am not making this up. It's a real thing. So I want to take the opportunity around National 401k Day to do some teaching on retirement savings plan. So let me tell you a little bit more about National 401k Day. So here we go. National 401k Day was started, it's a real holiday. It was started in 1996 by the Profit Sharing 401k Council of America. And this was a reminder to everybody to check in on your retirement savings plans. So it's a real holiday. And it is always the day after. Let me tell you how it works. With National 401k Day, it always is, Labor Day is always on a Monday, typically the first Monday in September. The Friday after Labor Day is National 401k Day. So we think of it like this. We start the first of the week with work and we end the week with retirement. And so that is a good way to remember it. And that's National 401k Day. And again, it was started by the Profit Sharing Council of America. And it was really just a day in which we can wave flags and say, hey, let's just talk about what a 401k is, and 401k is it, but we're going to talk about a little bit later. There can be other accounts that do the same thing, which is really help us to save for our retirement savings. And I'm going to go through a lot of that in these sessions. Now, what I do, Carolyn Williams and Money Reverse do, what we do as a part of this is we go through a week of empowering retirement savings lessons. And this is all free, just something to share more information about this. So if you know anybody that you think would benefit from this, if you know somebody that doesn't really understand retirement savings, if you know somebody that you think could find this helpful, then share this out on your timeline, however you want to share it out. It would be a help to me if you would share it out. And really, you're not being selfish because you're helping everybody else to learn more about what you're learning. And this is a topic that's not talked about very often. I'm going to tell more about this a little bit later. So thank you. Say this is your first time hearing of 401k Day. Thank you. I'm glad I'm able to educate you. Everybody, I want you to know next year you will know Labor Day is always the first Monday in September. And that Friday is National 401k Day. Again, we start the week with work, with labor, and end the week with retirement. So that is the way we remember that. So let's kind of go through and see what else we have going on here. So, and what we're going to do is 4 days of empowering lessons. And today is our day one. And we're going to talk about let's get in the game and let's play to win. Let's get in the game and let's play to win. Okay, so we're going to really be talking about getting in and knowing if you're in and all things about participation. Okay, come right on in. Let's do it. The information provided here today is for educational purposes only. Any market information that I share is purely commentary and should not be construed as investment advice, nor should the information be construed as a solicitation to buy or sell any securities of any kind. Now, I want to share some information that I think you'll find interesting. This is news that was released, I'm sure, in preparation for National 401k Day, but this is news that was released. If you do a Google search on this, you can find news on CNN, on investors, all types of news articles, news outlets. You'll see this information. But the number of 401k millionaires reaches a record high. The number of 401k millionaires reaches a record high. Now, what we're talking about when we say 401k millionaires, these are individuals that have retirement savings accounts, and their retirement savings accounts have reached $1 million or higher. Their retirement savings has reached a balance of $1 million or higher. Now, does that sound unusual? I hope that you see from this news that that is not unusual. And just as a testimony, I fit this category over 10 years ago. I had put money in my retirement savings account, one of my retirement savings account. I think I actually had two at the time. And with that, mine grew to over $1 million. And this was over 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. So with that, this is not unheard of. The number of accounts that have reached this status is at a new record high. So with that, the record number in the blue, let me give you some information. The record number of 401k accounts containing 1 million or more during Q2 of 2024 is a record high. This is right now. And this analysis is done, every quarter these accounts are analyzed. So we can see that this is fresh, new information. Now, let me tell you how many accounts have reached this status. As a 401k, which is a company sponsored plan, and we're going to go through what these plans mean, some of the differences in them. There are 497,000 accounts that are over $1 million right now. 497,000. This is up 2.25% from last quarter. So last quarter, this 2.5% lower, but we got accounts that are just riding this over $1 million balance. And then if it's an IRA, an individual retirement account, 399,000 accounts of this type are over $1 million. And this is up 6% from the last quarter. So we're not talking 5 or 6. There are, and this is all in the US, 401k is a US thing. This is not something that is outside of the US. So these are all right here in the United States of America. So with that, there are, this came from analysis from Fidelity Investments, and they reviewed 24 million accounts across 26,000 employer-sponsored plans. So it wasn't just Fidelity's accounts that they were looking at. They are looking at retirement savings accounts across many companies, across many brokers, across many genres, and they are looking at retirement savings accounts and not only 401k. So, you can have IRAs, and I'm going to tell you some other types that we can have. Now, when they looked at these accounts and did this analysis, this is something that they do every quarter. I want to just share with you some of the average balances of these accounts. Now, when we look at all accounts, remember, some of them are $1 million or higher, and some of them are less than $1 million. But when we looked at all of these accounts, when you looked at 401ks, the average balance was 127,100. 127,100. And that's up 13% from where they were in 1 year. The average balances in an IRA, hold on just one second. Yeah, my smart speaker trying to teach over here. So we had to get her quiet. Now let's talk about IRA accounts, individual retirement accounts. These accounts, again, when Fidelity Investments looked at all of the accounts across all types of brokers, not just Fidelity accounts. They looked at Fidelity accounts in Wells Fargo, no matter who the financial broker was, and looked across all companies. Then they saw that individuals that had an IRA account, the average price was $129,200. That was the average balance, $129,200. So that means some were less than 129,000, some were over 1 million. And that's up 14% in 1 year. So these accounts are growing. Why do you think that the account balances are growing? If you have an idea of why account balances are growing, and there could be several reasons. So kind of put some reasons in the comments why you think these accounts are growing. I'm excited about this. I am ecstatic about this because the one thing that I have as a calling is to make sure that I teach about Christian biblical principles in managing money and resources. So when I see that there are some responsible activities going on so that we can be great stewards and grow what we are given, it makes me ecstatic. I'm excited. And I want everyone here, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, I want you to be in this number of individuals that have retirement savings accounts that are $1 million or higher. That's the goal. I can tell you it was a really good feeling to be nowhere close to retirement, but have that kind of money that's just growing in my retirement savings account, still working my job, making good money, having no debt, having no bills, again, because living a debt-free life, having savings in the bank, plus this retirement savings. That is a place of peace. That's a place of peace. And it's a place of really just understanding what we should do with the resources that we're given and being obedient to those instructions that are lined out for us in the Christian Holy Bible. If you follow those principles, you will not have money problems, I promise you. Now, it takes courage to do that. You're going to look crazy. You're going to have to learn to say things like, you don't say I can't afford something. You say I won't afford something. I'm not going to do that. This is against what I believe in. So I'm not going to waste money like that. So with that, this is something that I want for everybody. So I asked the question, what are some of the reasons that some people you think the accounts are growing? And I see response, some people are earning higher salaries. Some accounts are connected to good security products. That's it. Both of those. Number one, we're putting in more. Even if you put in you're putting in a certain percentage of your salary. But remember, over the last 4 years, there has been situations where salaries have grown so much. When there was a labor demand, we had labor demand for so many reasons, especially starting in the year 2020, we had a lot of deaths of people. We had people that were, not so eager to go back to work, not wanting to take the risk of being out there. So companies had to pay people a higher salary just to get them out of the house. Just to get them out of the house, they had to pay them a higher salary. So a small percentage of a higher salary is a higher amount. And that's what's been contributed over the years, these years, just in the last 4 years. And then attachment to some great security products. The money that you have in these accounts are invested in the stock market. And as you know, if you may not know, our stock market has been doing really well for the last 12 years. We had a downswing in 2022 after recovering from the COVID blow up, meaning we had tech stocks, everything just went higher and higher and higher when COVID was in the mix. So in 2022, when all the inflation hit us, then we saw markets pull back that year. But other than that, we're still seeing all-time highs. We had a big pullback today in the market, but we've had some all-time highs on our major averages over the last month or so. So with that is the reason that these accounts are growing. Thank you. Thank you for your response. So let's just go and let me share a little bit more. Now, I have a poll for you. I want you to just put in the comments here. Are you currently in a retirement savings plan? And I'm going to call it, you may hear me say RSP, which is retirement savings plan. And a retirement savings plan, number one, you could have 3 answers: yes, no, or I don't know. Yes, no, or I don't know. A retirement savings plan it's going to include a 401k, a 403b, an IRA, and there's several types of IRAs. It could include a TSP or a 457. And depending on the type of company that you work for, it's going to be a different plan. What these numbers are, with the exception of what these all are, they're assigned by the IRS, and it is a part of the IRS tax code that gives special tax provisions for this type of plan. So this number is an IRS tax code. So that's why it may not make sense. It makes sense if you see it all the time, but there's no special numbers behind 401k. It's an IRS tax code. Okay. Now, many companies have auto enrollment with employment. And I love this. A lot of companies here in the US, we found that a lot of people were not signing up for retirement savings plans. And really, because of the reason that I'm doing this here, there's not a lot of education that comes when you start to work for a corporation that offers these type of plans. There may be, as I talk to people, I'm finding there's it hasn't changed much since I first started working in corporate. And I remember my best friend and I, we had finished college. We had both moved to Dallas, Texas, where I am now. We worked for different companies, and she lived on one side of town. I lived on the other. So we didn't see each other every day at all. But after about a year, I think there was a year, 6 months or a year, we became eligible to participate in our company's 401k plan. And we started the jobs about around the same time. So we both had, one day we were talking and we were, she said, do you know what this 401k is? I got a letter that I'm eligible for the 401k. And I go, yeah, I got a letter like that not too long ago too. So not really sure what it is, really did not know, no clue. Nobody had told us anything about it. I had not heard any of this from my family or friends. There was just nothing. So we know that we're eligible to participate in this thing. And it had a whole lot of words on it. And it had a whole lot of paper that had some charts and graphs. And I just remember looking at this, and it was a little packet about this thick. It was a lot of things wasn't digital back then. We weren't in the dinosaur age, but it was a long time ago. And I just remember I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know what they were telling me that I was eligible for. So I did nothing with it. I did nothing with it. So then when my friend called, I said, and then I finally talked to a couple of my coworkers, one day we'll talk about, working in corporate, but you can't talk to everybody about everything in your personal life in a corporate environment. So I didn't talk to anybody about that. So I just kind of sat on it for a while and I kind of dug a little bit. And then as I talked to one person that I, became kind of close with at work, I started to learn that it was setting aside money for retirement. It's tax-free. They take it out of your paycheck and so forth, so on. And they invest it, so forth, so on. And I go, oh, okay. That sounds good. I don't know why I wouldn't do it. They take it out of my pay. Yeah, you just sign up with HR and they'll take a certain amount out, however amount you say. You see what I mean? All of that to say is there was not a lot of education of what this was. When I signed up for it, I had no clue what it is. Now, can you kind of tell me just in a few words, if you had education on these plans, if you're in corporate now, if you had any education when you were in corporate, when you started the job, what was your education on these plans like? Did they have something that they sent you to? Now they got websites, so they can throw a whole lot of stuff out there and send you a link. But I'd like to know if your experience in learning about what these plans are, was it anything like mine? Are they doing a better job now in helping people to understand what this offering is? Because it's a good offer. And the company matches, they'll put money in for you. I didn't know what company match. What do you mean match? Match what? Match your giving. Giving what? What, you see what I mean? Just foreign terms. They're not foreign now. But when I was how was I, 21? I had no clue what this was. I did not know. I didn't know. So with that, let me know if what your experience is about learning about these plans. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this is so that people can learn a little bit more about what these are, especially if you're young and starting out in corporate. I want you to know what this is. They're going to bring it to you and let you know, or you may have gotten a letter and don't even know what they're talking about. So I know that was me. I really didn't know. So with that, I want to just share too, that as you say, are you in the plan? There's many companies have auto enrollment, and that's because people weren't participating. But the reason that people aren't participating is because there's no information about what they should be participating in. It was just very dismal. So I see why a lot of people are not participating. If it was like me, I had no clue. I signed up and still didn't know what I was in. I didn't know what I was in for a couple of years. I'm thinking I started getting letters. And once I signed up, I started getting information. And as you guys can figure out, if you hadn't figured it out yet, I'm a nerd. So I read everything. I'm a nerd. If y'all hadn't figured it out, somebody put in the comments, no, not you, no nerd. But I'm a nerd. I always was. So I'm always reading things and gathering information. I graduated second highest in my high school. I'm a nerd. So when they start sending me stuff that was addressed to me, I started reading it and I started learning, but I had, oh, look at this. I don't know if this is an insult. See, it's all over you. Being a nerd. Oh my God. Y'all call me a nerd. I call me a nerd, but call me a nerd. Oh my God. Oh my God. If y'all haven't figured it out yet, I was a nerd. Well, I am a nerd. So I was reading everything and I started learning more and more. So some of the reasons that people are not participating is they just don't know what it is. So what a lot of employers started doing is they started auto enrolling, meaning when you come into the company, you're automatically put in the plan. And with a small amount, probably a 3% of your salary is already going to your plan without you knowing it. So for that reason, when I ask you, are you in the plan? Some people may not know. You may not know that you were automatically enrolled and that money is coming out of your paycheck to go to a retirement savings plan. And I will bet you about 95% of companies here in the US do auto enrollment these days. So in a sense, you have to go to HR and say, please stop me from saving for my retirement, because otherwise you're doing it. But if you don't know, you put in the comments, I don't know if I'm in a plan. And if you don't know, you may not know that you may have stranded plans out there. If you worked at several companies that did this, you may have a plan with your name on it, with money in it that automatically came out of your paycheck and you just weren't even aware of it. So let's talk about that. That's going to be in another lesson, but that may be something that may be your case. And so with that, the other thing I want you to know when I ask you, are you currently enrolled, is that this could be in a rollover. It could be an individually opened account. It could be one that's in place with a previous employer. So you may have many accounts. Do you know how many accounts you have? And all you had to do was to work for a company that offered this as a benefit to employees, be a part of that company for any required that period of time before they enrolled you. And then if they did auto enrollment, they put you in. You may be in a plan and have no clue that you're in one. And if you left that company and didn't do anything with it, you may have money sitting out there in another plan. So I want you to think, how many accounts do I have? How many accounts do I have? Let's talk about what a rollover is. A rollover is when you leave an employer and you have a retirement savings plan and you want to take it out of that company's care and put it in an individual plan that you manage, put it in an IRA. That's an individual retirement account. So if it was in a company sponsored plan and you roll it over to an IRA, that's called a rollover IRA. And there's no more money going in, but your money is sitting there. You can't put any more in that rollover IRA because the way that the account was funded was from rolling it over from another account, and they were putting it in from salary. So since you're no longer with that company, there's no more money going in that one. It's sitting there and it's making money on investments. The other thing that you could have is an individual retirement account. Suppose that you didn't work for a major corporation, you work for yourself. And if you do work for yourself, I want this to be something that you take away as well. Or you work for a company that was considered a small company that didn't offer this type of companies, didn't offer 401k, but they could offer other things. They can offer individual retirement accounts. They can be SEP or simple. There's several different IRA accounts that you can have, a Roth or traditional. So, but these are individual accounts. The account is opened by you or for you in your name and not through a company sponsored account. So that's an IRA. If you work for yourself or work for a small business, or this is what I did. This is what I did. When I was with my company sponsored plan, there's only a certain amount of money that you can put in these accounts every year. There's only a certain amount of money that you can put in these accounts every year. So with that, I opened a separate account on my own so that when I had put all the money that I could in my corporate sponsored account and they stopped taking it out of my paycheck, I would take that same money from my paycheck and I would put it in my other individual retirement account. So I kept saving even after I had reached the maximum contribution that the company would allow me to do. So that's why I say I had multiple accounts. So I was still saving for retirement, and I would put it in an IRA, and it didn't matter that I couldn't take the tax deduction from that because I'd already gotten the money, the tax is already paid, but I put it in there, but I didn't have to pay taxes on anything that it earned. And I did this for years. So I knew the money was going to make a lot of money because I knew how to invest, and I knew I was going to make a lot of money in there. So I'd rather not pay income tax on those gains, if that makes sense. So with that, you can have multiple accounts out there. And what I want you to do is to see if it's possible that you have accounts that you don't even know of. Okay. And from a previous employer. If you left the company and didn't know that you had an account or didn't know what to do with the account and you left it there, there's nothing wrong with that. You can leave it right there with that employer. It's just no more money going in. You can still adjust what investments it's in, but there's an account that's sitting there that needs to be managed. And if you did this with 2 or 3 employers, you could have accounts in 2 or 3 different places. So what I want you to do is to really say, am I in? Yes. How many accounts do I have? And this is something you may have to go and find, may have to go and dig up. Look at those old companies that you worked for and see if they had a plan at the time that you were there, and if they had auto enrollment, and see if you have an account out there. And if that's something that you're interested in, that's something that I could definitely help you. I do have some consulting services that I have associated with retirement savings plan, and that's something that I do with all of my clients. We go and we do searches to find your retirement savings plans that are out there. If it's in the US, we'll find it. If you can't find it, I can tell you how to find it. Okay, so now, yes, no. Are you in the plan? Let's see if I see some yeses out here. I see a yes out here that I'm in the plan. Even if you're watching this on the replay, if you are in a plan, say, yes, I'm in a plan. If you're not in a plan, say, no, I'm not in a plan. And if you don't know, if you're not sure, to say, yeah, I'm in, but I may have some others out there. I'm just curious. I want to know who my listeners, my followers, what your situation is, so that I can tailor the lessons accordingly to make sure that, next year when we do this, that I have lessons that are more tailored to the individuals that are watching this. Thank you so much for your participation. Now, let's start talking about these accounts. I've talked about that there are several accounts. Let's just take this opportunity right here and go through the different types of accounts. Number one, there are so many options for you to save for retirement. And what I want you to think about in retirement, it is the day that you walk away from the workforce. It is the day that you say, I no longer need this particular income to live the rest of my life. And that could be any time. It doesn't mean that it's an age, it's a decision that you make. And unfortunately, some people end up retiring before they're ready to, whether the company goes under, the company says you're retiring, or there's sickness. Sickness is the number one reason that people retire early. They have some type of a health issue in which they can no longer work. So when you think about retirement, I don't want you thinking about age. I don't want you thinking about anything else, just the day that you no longer need this particular income from this particular employer to live for the rest of your life. Now, it may be that you go get another income from another employer, but so you can have retirement from several different locations. You see what I mean? You could be retired from military, you can be a retired teacher, and then you went and got a job as a teacher, you got a job as a librarian, and then you retired as a librarian. You can retire from many positions. So let's talk about the different types of accounts that you can have. A 401k is the one that we hear about most often. And this is the plan that's offered by private sector employers. The private sector employee, companies that are out there to make a profit. These are companies that offer a 401k plan for its employees. A 403b. These are plans that are offered to employees of public schools, tax-exempt organizations, medical professionals, and religious workers. These are, if you're a teacher in public schools, tax exempt organizations, medical professions, and religious workers. So that is a 403B. Same exact type of plan. It's just a different name. It's just a different tax code in the IRS. A TSP is a thrift savings plan. And these are for federal government, federal employees and uniformed services, whether you're in any of the U.S. uniformed services or you work for the federal government in any way. That's a TSP, thrift savings plan. And then there's the IRA. These are individual accounts that you can open yourself or that small businesses make available to you. A small business may say, this is what we want you to do, and we'll help you in that. And if you're self-employed, if you are a stylist, a hairdresser, if you're like me, I'm independently employed here as Money Reverse, then you would open an individual account, which I do have another individual account. And these can be, your individual accounts can be traditional, Roth, SEP, or simple. So again, individual accounts. So even if you don't work for an employer that offers these type of plans, that does not mean that you don't save for retirement. And then if you have a 457, this is a deferred compensation retirement plan. This is a plan that's really for executives, high dollar, highly compensated individuals that have reached the status in their lives and in their income where they say, you're going to pay me this amount this year, but I really don't need all of that. How about you just pay me half? If you're going to pay me $2.5 million a year to be the executive of this company, then how about you just pay me $1 million a year? And the other $1.5 million, let's defer that. I don't want to take the money now. Let's put it in a deferred compensation. Let's just defer that compensation, and I will take that compensation at another time. And the reason that they do that is because you only have to pay tax on the money when you take the money. So deferred compensation is a way to say, let me keep my tax bill down. Let me take the money that I need to live. But if I don't need it all right now, I'm not going to pay tax on all of that. Let's just put it over there in a bucket, and I will go and get it at another time. So that's a deferred compensation plan. Now, when I talk about qualified plans, deferred compensation is not a qualified plan. And I'll talk about qualified plans. If not today, I may talk about this. I'm going a little bit long. I may talk about qualified plans in one of these other days. Or if you have questions on qualified plans, let me know. So just know there are many options for you to save for this. There are many options. No matter what these options are, they operate the same. You're putting away money into an account that is tax deferred or tax friendly. And this money is set aside for your retirement. If you try to get it anytime before retirement age, they're going to put a penalty on you. And once you do get it, you don't pay taxes on it right now. But when you do get it, you pay taxes on it just like you got a paycheck. But one thing that I want you to know about all of these plans, and this is the most important thing that I need you to know. It's your money. It's your money. No matter what company you work for, no matter what type of plan you're in, it's your money. If I told you that, if you told me, Carolyn, I have an account and I'm putting money aside in it every 2 weeks, and I'm putting in there 5% of my income every 2 weeks. 5% of whatever they're going to pay me. And they pay me every 2 weeks. So that's what I'm putting in this account. And I go, oh, how's it doing? And you go, oh no. Is the money going there? Is it there in the account? You see it's coming out of your paycheck, but did it get to the account? And you go, yeah, it should have. It should have. Ladies and gentlemen, please know that this is your money. Just because it's in a plan that has a fancy name, that somebody else is doing you a courtesy of putting the money there, it is still your responsibility to manage this. This is your money. This is your money. It's not the company's money. It's not the government's money. It's your money. If you die, this money goes to wherever you say it goes. It's your money. I'm asking you, if you're not in a plan, to start setting aside savings in a retirement savings plan. And I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm not asking you to sign up for anything but yourself. I'm going to come here every day for the next 3 days, and I'm going to try to convince you to do something financially for you and your financial future. I'm not going to charge you anything for it. I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm not asking you to go to anybody's website. I'm asking you to do something for you. It's your money. I'm asking you to do something for you. Okay? So don't think that you're giving money away to some entity, that the government got your money, that your company's got your money. This is your money. If there's nothing else that you get today, I want you to know that this is your money. So let me tell you something more about this is your money. Now, vested funds. Let me explain what vested funds is. When you get in one of these retirement savings plans, when companies offer this, they offer some type of incentive for you to do it. And most times the incentive is when you contribute this amount, they will also put money in your account for you, for your financial future. So, but when they put money in, they have a vesting period, a period of time in which the money needs to stay there before you can claim it as your own. Any money that you put in can be yours at any time. You may pay a penalty to get it, and you'll pay taxes on it, but anything that the company put in for you, they have a vesting period for that. So that is a required length of time that the money needs to stay there in the account before it's fully called your own. It's called an employer contribution. But until you're vested, that's really not yours. If you pulled it all out, there's some of that if you have, and sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 5 years. Each company does it differently. But vested funds are not really yours until you meet this time requirement. So with that, after that, you have full ownership of that money. Remember, your money is portable. Even if you leave this company, you can move your money any place you want to. This is a part of being a qualified plan. This is one of the benefits of having a qualified plan, is that your money is portable. You don't have to keep it with your employer. You don't have to take it out of your employer. Okay. Carolyn, thank you. I'm going to tell you something, guys. I don't stutter. I don't stutter at all. So whenever I need to say something and it just starts coming out, but then I will get a prompting that you don't need to say that. There's some things that you just don't need to say. So I don't stutter, but I'm going to tell you, when you leave a company, you don't have to take your money out of that company plan. You can leave it right there, no matter what they tell you. Okay. You don't have to roll it over. You can leave it there, and you don't have to leave it there. If you want to take it and take control of it, you can do that. And that's what we talked about as a rollover. So it's portable. No matter what company you work for, it's your money. Can somebody put in the comments, it's my money? It's my money. And you can choose to do whatever it is you want to do with it, even if you leave the company. They don't get to tell you what you do with your money. They can tell you what you can't do with any money that they put in that's not vested yet. But if it's not, it's your money. Thank you. Look at that. Here we go. It's my money. There we go. Guys, I need you to know this. It's portable. You can do with it whatever you want. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you were my client, I would give you some options and things to do with it. But just know you get decisions here. That's why there's people like me that's a coach. So I can coach you on what you do. I can't take your money for you. I can't invest it for you, but I can coach you on how to do that. So with that, that's portable. That's one of the benefits of a qualified plan. Now, remember, as you said, it's my money. Remember, Elba, It's your money, so it's yours to manage. It's yours to manage. You are responsible for ensuring that this money is invested. You are responsible for ensuring that any type of adjustments that you need to make in your investments based on time. You are responsible for ensuring that things are going the way you want it to. You are responsible for ensuring that you know the health of this account. You are responsible for ensuring that because they took it from your paycheck, it did show up in the account. You are responsible. It's your money. Okay? It's your money to plan. It's your money to plan. What are you going to do with this money? I'm going to tell you, when you don't have a plan for this money, the first thing that comes up that sounds like a good deal, you'll say, oh, let's just go to the 401k and get money. This is not an ATM. This is a very costly ATM. Now, in dire situations, you do what you have to do to survive. But it's your money to plan. What are you going to do with it? We're going to talk about, I got a lot to talk about in the next few days. We're going to talk about ways that we can plan, how we can maybe plan some things around this money, but it's your money to plan. I don't want you not having a plan, because then what happens is the first opportunity that comes up, that 401k money is over there and there's no plan that you have to weigh against. It's like, yeah, there it is. Let's go get a new car with the 401k money. A new car is the biggest asset that's going to depreciate the most. Your 401k money is what determines your wealth. Why would you trade wealth for something that's going to depreciate and take wealth from you? It just doesn't make sense. When you start to really understand money and wealth, this is not something that you would do. Take your 401k money, go draw money out of your 401k to buy a car. That just does not make sense. There's no way you can tell me that makes sense. Ever. That just doesn't make sense to me. I get it. Get an Uber, ride the bus, ride the train. I don't know. Get a scooter. Do something until you can afford a car with your real operating capital. Okay? So it's your money to plan, and it's a qualified plan. It's a qualified plan. Now, since I'm talking so much, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about a qualified plan. A qualified plan is one that is qualified by the IRS to meet certain IRS benefits. And one of the IRS benefits, is accountability. Accountability. The company is accountable to you for this money. Meaning, if the company goes bankrupt, this money can't go with it. If the company goes bankrupt and goes belly up, then this money can't go with it. Now, if you are someone, I have a client that did work for a company years ago that went bankrupt, and this company lost this client lost not only their job, they lost their company stocks, and they lost their retirement plan. That was years ago. And then there were laws that came into play to help to prevent that from happening again. If you remember Enron, if you remember WorldCom, if you remember MCI, all of these companies, these telecom companies that went under, and several of them took their employees' pension plan with it. The company is accountable to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore. And there's another agency that was set up to oversee these plans inside these companies. And if the company goes under, your money moves to another reporting agency that's set up by the federal government. So there is accountability with the company with this and a qualified plan. The other thing with a qualified plan is that it's portable, that the plan is portable, that you can move it around. You don't have to keep it there. You don't have to keep it there with that particular company. And then there are tax benefits with a qualified plan. So with that, when we talked about deferred comp, I make $2.5 million. I only want you to pay me $1 million this year. The other $1.5 million, set it aside and I'll get that later. That's not qualified. When companies go under, those executives lose that money. That's not a qualified plan. That's deferred comp. So just know that your 40, everything that I mentioned, with the exception of a 457, is a qualified plan. So again, you're going to do something for you, and it's for you, and there is government backing to make sure that you don't lose your money. For my client that lost money back in the day, and I met this client, this person became a client with me not too long ago. As a matter of fact, about a year ago today, this person became a client, and this person told me about what happened years ago. And boy, we prayed. I've been praying for this client. I still pray for this client, because this client came to me and they were hurt that they were so far behind in their retirement planning. And they explained to me what had happened over the years. That was only one thing that happened. And everything that happened with this client was not at this client's hand. This client did not take the money and go buy a Tesla or no, this is not what this client did. It was things like that. That was only one thing that happened that helped this client to be so far behind. And we prayed together, and I'm coaching this client, and this client texted me in January of this year. We started the engagement, I think it was September last year. And we made some changes to their investment options within their plan. And this client, the amount of money they made in a 3-month period, I had never heard of that before. I have never heard of returns like that in a 3-month period. I told this client, go back and look at it again and make sure you're telling me what the numbers are. And we saw such a positive return in this client's portfolio in 3 months. I'm telling you, I have never seen that before. And I told this client, I said, nobody's making that kind of money. That's just God. That's just God. I'm not making that kind of money. Nobody's making that kind of money. So with that, I do want you to know about a qualified plan. I got so much that I could talk about here, and I really only wanted this to be 30 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. Okay, so it's a qualified plan. So there's little risk. There's lots of reward that I want you to do. Now, I have a couple of takeaways for you. These are our day one takeaways. Number one, determine if you're in. Some of you know that you're in already, and you've replied. That's great. I want you to also know how many accounts you own. If you're in and you know you're in, and if it's a possibility that you could have other accounts out there from previous employers, then see if you can dig up some of that information. I just want to make sure that you have in your cuddles here, as we cuddle everything together, that you got everything that you know is yours. It's your money. Everybody, you just said it. It's my money. I want you to know about it. I want you to know about it. And number two, if you're not in, I don't want you to miss this day 2 lesson that's coming up. And if you are in, I still don't want you to miss this day 2 lesson. But if you're not in, I want to give you some information about getting returns in your retirement savings plan. I want to give you information about that. And when I share some of this with you, it's going to make sense that this is something that you need to be doing. Okay? So again, here's your day 1 takeaways, and we're ending out our day 1 session. So if you have any questions, start typing them in the comments, and I'm going to be here for you answering all of those questions. Okay? Now, I'm doing this for 4 days. This is 4 days for your 401k, because National 401k Day is Friday, September 6th. So 7 p.m. Central Time, we're going to get you into another lesson to help to fortify you and to get into a retirement savings plan and help you to get better in managing your retirement savings plan if you're already in. Again, today, Tuesday, 9/3, we've scratched that one off. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 9/4, join me right here where you're watching right now, and let's get ready for this day 2 lesson. Now, in tomorrow's lesson, I'm going to share with you the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room. You know, I'm going to look for this video, but I want to tell you as a prelim to this. I had an elephant walk right by me I could have reached out to touch the elephant, and I didn't even see it until it was right there. I smelled it before I saw it. How do you miss an elephant? You think you can't miss it. I almost missed an elephant. I got video of what I was videoing instead of the elephant. And then when I turned around and turned the camera to the elephant, its butt was right in the camera. I almost missed an elephant. I'm going to look for that video, and I'm going to show you that video tomorrow, because it is so possible to miss an elephant, something so big and so obvious and so in your face, but you're just not seeing it. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Okay? Now, let me see if you have any questions. I got to find this video now. I just thought about that. Oh, yeah, I got to find this video. Okay. How many 401 accounts can one person have? A Roth IRA, 401k combines? Yes, you can have any number of accounts. Let's think about it. If you worked for one particular company and you had an account there and you left that company and you left it there, you can go work for another company. They set up an account for you there and it's an active account. And then you can do like I did, open an IRA and start putting money in that. And then if you roll over, you can have any number of these qualified accounts. There is no maximum number that you can have. So it does make sense to combine them. With my clients, I do recommend consolidation because it's just easier to manage that way. And you can do more. If I had $4,000, $4,000, $4,000, $2,000, if that's 12, that's $14,000. I can do better investments if I put the $14,000 in one account than I can to say I'm limited to what I can buy with this $4,000 account. Makes sense? So with a lot of my clients, especially if I find that they have lots of little accounts, I do recommend and I walk them through consolidation because number one, it helps us to better manage it. Remember, because it's your money and you got to manage it. So let's do what works best for you. But there are no limitations with how many accounts you can have. That's a very good question. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Okay, so let's see if there's any other question. I don't see another question. So let's see here. I'm looking back through. Oh yeah. Thank you, Ginger. Ginger said when she started too, most of the research, she did it by herself. Yeah, I don't know if that still happens today, but I'm telling you, when I got in this account, I had not received the callings that I had from the Lord. So I didn't know about this stuff. I got in it, but I didn't even know what I was doing. You know what I mean? Received about the same amount of information. So that's why I'm doing this. So if you know somebody that fits that category, children or grandchildren that you think may be interested, they can even watch the replay. But I wanted just to get information out there. And this is the week to do it on National 401k Week. It gives me an opportunity to come out here and have a reason to come out here and talk about this. Make sense? Okay, so let's see here. If you have three Roth accounts, the max contribution is only $7,500. If you have three Roth accounts, the max contribution is only $7,500 or $8,000. Let's think about it. The maximum, that is true. The maximum amount for contributions in either of these accounts, it is for the social. So if you have multiple accounts and you're putting money in, when you reach the maximum contribution amount, and each year that max contribution amount changes, they're going to look at it by social, not by account. So yeah, there's no maximum to how many accounts you can have, but your contribution limits are going to be looking at what you put in by your social security number. Very good question. Oh, y'all got good questions. Thank you. Hey, Coretta, how are you, lady? Let's see. Is there any other questions? Now, I'm going to be here, and if you watch this later, if you're watching this on a replay and have questions, definitely post them in the comments. This is your opportunity to get and there's no such thing as a stupid question. If you're like me, I did not want to talk to my coworkers about this. When you went to HR back then, they really didn't have a lot of information. They had more stuff to give you. And when I wasn't in, I just really wasn't interested in reading all of that. It wasn't until I got in that I got interested in reading. I know I was 21 years old. I was a nerd, but I was kind of a lazy nerd. Okay, so with that, definitely I will be here tomorrow. Again, we're doing 4 days for your 401k. So this was day one. Thank you so much for joining, and meet me back here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time, right where you're watching now, and share this out on your timeline if you think there's people in your community that could benefit from this. Carolyn Williams with Money Reverse. See you tomorrow, everybody.